Hello everybody, welcome back to Middleport Junction. I'm Anthony and this is the latest update, a December update of what's been happening at Middleport Junction. So I've been installing some points. I managed to get some Peco PL10 point solenoids which I've managed to solder and get the wiring ready to attach to a CDU and attach the points to the bottom of the baseboard. So I've actually got 8 of these Peco PL10 solenoids. I don't necessarily need all of them, but what I'm going to do, I've got the soldering iron out, is to clean all of these up, take the wiring off that I don't need, take off the excess solder. Again, just apply the heat to the solder so that it goes runny into a molten solder. Doesn't take very long with a hot soldering iron. Oh, it's fell off. It's fell off on its own. Just get rid of that. So I'm pleased with my soldering iron. And if you look at the mess that I've taken off, all this excess solder and bits of wire and bits of cable, that's destined for the rubbish. So sometime later, managed to clean these up somewhat. I've left the joining wire on, the joining cable, the bridging cable if you like, because there's no point taking that off for me to solder a new cable on, so I've just left those on. But the other cables I've taken off in readiness when I apply my wires or my cables, if you like. So I'm quite pleased there. So this is a wiring diagram for wiring of the point solenoids, and as already mentioned, the CDU is this here, this block here. So we've got power in from the transformer, which is A, and a return, which is C there. This one here is the positive going from port D, which powers the switch. From the switch, you've got 2 switch wires which are in red, which power the solenoid, which throw the points. And then you've got a return out of the solenoids on this loop here that feeds back to the capacitor discharge unit. So this is the CDU that I'll be using, or capacitor discharge unit, and this is how it comes. This is a micro one, and it's got 4 ports for you to connect your wires. So there's an A and there's a C, which come from your power source, and then there's a D and a C here, which will then go on to power the switch. And this is the switch I'll be using. Just simple toggle switch to switch the points. Now I've also got my third hand, this little contraption here to help me, and this will hold my solenoid so like I can work on that. Just needs tightening up a wee bit. There we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is what's called tinning, and that's putting a small layer of solder on the end of each bare wire. I've got 12 wires to do, so I'll do that now. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of flux just to coat the wire, and then we'll apply and heat some solder onto the wire. And there we go, and that's all it is. So I've got another 11 wires to do, so I'll speed this section up. And there we have it. There's all the 12 wires tinned and ready to be soldered onto each point solenoid. So going back to the wiring diagram, the part that I'm going to do first is this wire here, this orange line. Now I haven't got orange cable, but I've got yellow, so the loop's already on the solenoid, so I'm not taking that off, but I'm just going to apply the yellow wire now from here in readiness to go back to the CDU. And that's it, as simple as that. Just repeat this down there on the other point. And that's it, easy as that. I'll just repeat this now on the other point solenoids. So there we go. There's 4 point solenoids done. And the good thing about soldering is if you don't do it right, you can always apply more heat and redo it. And you'll notice that the cables are running the same direction. They're both coming out this side because that is the top of the solenoid, so this will be fastened underneath the baseboard. So it's important that the wires come down and not protrude upwards. Okay. So the next step is to do these switch wires here. There's 2 switch wires for each solenoid. Now, although they're both lines are in red, I'm using a red cable and a white cable. It doesn't really matter what colour you choose. It's just for my preference so that I can identify what I'm doing, so I don't get lost in a bundle of wires. And there we are. That's all of them soldered. All the wires are on now. Just give a little tug at each one, make sure that nothing's coming loose. I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah. So we're ready for the next stage. So on each of the point solenoids, there are these little lugs that stick up, and the idea is as you align the plate onto the point motor or the point solenoid, and these little lugs slide into these slots, and then you simply bend them over. Simply bend them in, and it holds the plate onto the point motor. Now I found that I don't need these middle ones because they don't line up. And so what I'm going to do is just see if I can get this one to fit. So you simply quite fiddly, simply manipulate these lugs so that they fit onto the holes. What's stopping that? Something's stopping it, I think. The next stage I'm going to do is apply these extending pins to the Peco PL10 point motor. And so what you're given in the kit is a little joining piece, which is very, very tiny, and keep dropping it. Don't know if you can see that, it's really tiny. So I'm going to use some pliers to hold it, and then I'm going to be using some super glue to glue this in place. So we don't need a lot of glue, just a little dab. A tiny bit of drop of glue on that one, and that's going to go into there like so. Now, one important thing to do here is to make sure that we can still move the point motor and it hasn't glued it. There we go. Just make sure that's free. If you just leave that and there's any glue left over, sometimes it can stick to the mounting plate, and then you've got no movement whatsoever. So that's basically it. That's the extension pin, which is glued onto the Peco point motor. And now I'm going to do the rest. So this is the underside of the baseboard, and the beauty of having N-gauge on a end-to-end small layout is I've been able just to lift the board up and turn it around rather than working on my back underneath. And so having the point motor with the wires, and now we've got the plate, the fixing plate. It was simply, all I've done, let's see if I can get rid of the shadow. All I've done is lined up the plate with the hole, the 6mm hole, and just marked it really, and that's where I'm going to screw. That's why I'm going to drill a small pilot hole and then screw these solenoids to the back of the board using very, very small screws. So having marked where each of the mounting plates are going to go, before I put the screws in, I'm just going to run a little pilot hole into each of these. So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell for further notifications. But I'd just like to say to everybody a very happy Christmas and a prosperous new year, and I'll see you on the next update. Bye for now.